So with Assassin's Creed Mirage starting to come ever so closer to release, I'd still assume we'd see it in the first half of 2023, but that's just a guess. And we've still yet to see any form of gameplay, which is a little worrying, but it's not time to freak out yet, obviously. So I figured this would be a good time to talk about some of the things I'd like the gameplay to include. Now for me, first and foremost, what brought me into Assassin's Creed was the stealth element. Blending into crowds, creating plans to assassinate a target with the hidden blade, and then escaping, all while trying not to be seen. That was what lured me into this series in the first place. Stealth has always been what's most important to me in these games, and of course with the last few being pretty lacking in stealth, especially when compared to the older games, it was very disappointing. However, in all the marketing and details we've heard from people working on Mirage themselves so far, they've all said that stealth was a major focus. So I wanted to make a video talking about what we know so far in terms of stealth for Mirage, and some things I'd personally like to see added or make a return. Of course, feel free to add on in the comments because I know a lot of you care a great deal about stealth in these games as well. So first of all, we know Mirage is going to be a lot more focused and condensed. I've heard the scope of the game is around what Rogue or Revelations was, so this game really isn't that big, which after the nearly 60 to 70 hours, possibly even more depending on how much you did in Valhalla, that is a huge sigh of relief for me. But it makes all the more important that what we do get is very good. Now about stealth specifically, we already know quite a lot, and keep in mind I'm talking about stuff that has been said in interviews by developers of the game. I didn't go too much into the leaks because it's hard to know what's true and what isn't, so I'm basing my information on known facts. Like I said earlier, stealth is a big focus for this game, and unlike the recent RPG trilogy, it's not going to try and encourage different builds or play styles. It sounds like the old games where stealth is the definitive way to play. The art director on Mirage has already stated that Basm is not going to be super tanky like Eivor or Alexios and Cassandra. If you're spotted in Mirage, you're better off trying to escape and hide than try again in stealth, rather than going loud and fighting everyone in combat, because you can die very quickly in Mirage. Again, that sounds fantastic to me. I guess sorry to those of you who play Assassin's Creed but for some reason hate stealth. I mean, that doesn't even really make sense. I think you're playing the wrong franchise if that's the case, but I'm so happy to know that stealth isn't just optional or a playstyle. No, it's how the game is supposed to be played. Mirage is supposed to encourage strategy and force you to use your head. You can't just turn your brain off and spam the attack button in combat and expect to come out victorious. The director referred to it as like a bird playing with its prey. You have to kind of stalk your target, make sure it's clear, go in for the kill, and then vanish and do it again. Another thing that has me very excited and is a huge win in my books is the confirmation that black box assassinations are returning. So we'll get a target to assassinate, a fairly large sandbox, and just be allowed to figure out and plan how to assassinate the target for ourselves. Maybe there will be infiltration or distraction opportunities similar to Unity, or even more recently what they did in the Valhalla Siege of Paris DLC, which was one of the few things I actually liked about that DLC. But one of Basm's main tasks in Mirage will be to reopen Hidden One bureaus, where you'll need to investigate, identify targets, and try to devise the best strategy for taking out your target, in which there are multiple ways to do so, which to me actually sounds very similar to AC1, and I said it in my video about the possible AC1 remake, but I always thought that if they took the mission structure of AC1 with investigating and planning, but gave you more freedom and on a bigger scale, that would be a great way to evolve the mission structure for Assassin's Creed and help modernize the formula. And while we still need more details, it sounds like that's what they're doing. Imagine having this huge sandbox with a target you need to assassinate, but there's just tons of guards and no entrances, so you for yourself have to explore the city and area, eavesdrop on conversations, tail and follow people of interest, and devise the best strategy for infiltrating and assassinating your target. The investigation aspect of being an assassin I feel has been very underlooked, really ever since AC2, and I think with a little more variety and attention put into it, they could make it even better so it's not as tedious and repetitive as it could be at times in AC1. Also in AC1, you had to execute the missions in a very specific way. There wasn't wasn't a lot of freedom or choice in how you take down your target, but now in Mirage, you could have the complete freedom to investigate on your own and come up with your own strategy. Again, this is some of the best and most important news I've heard in regards to stealth in Mirage, and I really hope it delivers on these black box assassinations. It would also really help with the game's general replay value if all these missions have multiple different ways to be completed, and maybe you get these special assassination opportunities as well, similar to the Hitman games or even Unity and Syndicate to a certain extent. Now, I don't want to talk too much about parkour in this video, but it does go hand in hand with stealth, and we know that Basm is going to be a lot faster than most of the recent characters we've played as in the series when it comes to parkour. On top of that, there will be some tools to aid us in our escapes, like detection mines that release some sort of poisonous smoke, which we actually saw in the cinematic trailer as Basm is escaping. There's also going to be blow darts as well, which I would imagine would work very similarly to Black Flag and Rogue, with the sleep and berserk darts that knock enemies out or force them to fight each other. And sort of a new feature, but sort of something we've had before that has been gone for way too long in my opinion, are multi-assassinations. Now sure, we had the very lame looking chain assassinations in Origins and Valhalla. Odyssey didn't even have those, but it seems we're finally getting a proper multi-takedown feature. The way it's described sounds very similar to something like Batman Arkham Knight's multi-fear takedowns, where you can sort of slow down time and quickly assassinate enemies in the vicinity in quick succession while in stealth. And this is also going to have progression involved, so at the beginning of the game you'll be able to take out 2 enemies with this feature, and then steadily more and more as you upgrade and progress through the game. Now I'm not exactly sure if this means we're getting double assassinations back. Like the way this sounds, this multi-assassination feature is going to be like a special skill that'll have a cooldown of some sort and can be upgraded, but there wasn't any mention of just like a regular double assassination that we're used to and were in every game in the series from AC2 all the way up to Syndicate. Maybe I missed something, but I couldn't find any information on double assassinations or double air assassinations for that matter. I really hope they're going to be in the game and have a nice quick stylish animation, but I'm not sure. Again, with how they've talked about the stealth and how they keep referring back to Unity, maybe it'll be similar to Unity's double assassinations. I'm not sure. Please let me know if you guys have heard anything about double assassinations specifically. It sounds like social stealth is actually returning for real this time instead of that very tacked on and poor man's version we got in Valhalla where it felt barely useful. We'll be able to blend into crowds and move through the streets of Baghdad and use it as a means to get close to an assassination target, which is excellent to hear. And another thing that was confirmed a while back was that Mirage is getting all new assassination animations. I know initially me and a lot of others were worried that since this game was originally tied to being a DLC for Valhalla, it would just copy a lot of animations and assets from that game, but that is not the case, thankfully. Valhalla's assassination animations are just a bit slow and really don't look that great, especially when you compare it to games like Unity and Syndicate that are 6 to 7 years older and manage to have much better looking assassinations. I hope Mirage's animations really emphasize that Basm is a skilled assassin who's quick, effective, and deadly. Again, with those quicker animations, not only do they look really nice, but it also just helps with the general flow and pace of stealth. Another important aspect that's deeply intertwined with stealth is world design. We've heard many times that Baghdad is going to be as dense and focused as Paris from Unity, which in case you didn't know is one of my favorite open worlds in the series, so that's a great thing to hear if that's the case. And the way the city is designed and set up will provide and support stealth and parkour. The size of the world is also likely to be similar to Unity, with lots of buildings and some wilderness just outside the city. Again though, world design is very important for stealth, and it's good to know that it sounds like they designed this city to support stealth and help you move around unseen. We don't know too much about the enemy types for Mirage, but we know for sure there's no real mythological or supernatural elements or enemies, which again, phew. Now, of course, Assassin's Creed has never been fully based in realism, but we certainly never had stuff like magic druids or Medusa or anything too crazy until Odyssey and Valhalla. Even a little in Origins is when it started, but it's good to know we'll be fighting purely flesh and blood humans in this game for the most part. Then again, we do know Loki's consciousness is manifesting in Basm, so there might be some weirdness with that, but aside from that, I think we can expect a game mostly grounded in realism. The art director even said that it was was Odyssey and Valhalla's thing, being really into the mythology, and that's fine, but Mirage won't be like that. It's a lot more focused on the historical setting. I know the supernatural stuff didn't bother some people, but for me personally, that's music to my ears. Now I'm sure there will be different types of guards and Order of Ancient members and some big monstrous sized humans to take down, and like I said, AC has never been fully realistic, so most of the unrealistic parts of Mirage has to do with the tools the hidden ones use that haven't been invented yet, and the timing and order of some historical events, which is something Assassin's Creed has always done really since the beginning. I mean, the hidden blade basically works like magic when you think about it. Another thing we've known for a while is that the drone bird from the last 3 AC games will return to Mirage along with Eagle Vision, giving you multiple options for recon and scouting enemies and targets. We do also have some information on the detection system. First and foremost, here's hoping it's not broken like Valhalla's was and it works properly, but the detection system for Mirage has been completely reworked and is apparently going to have more detail and visual feedback than the more recent games. Maybe we'll get to see a silhouette or an indicator of where enemies last spotted us, similar to Unity, so you can bait guards and move them into different positions. I don't know, but it's my hope that a game that's very focused on stealth won't have broken detection or instant spotting like Valhalla. That's most of the major things we know so far about stealth in AC Mirage. Again, I know there's lots of leaks and little details out there and it's hard to find everything, so please forgive me if I missed something. But so far, everything I've seen and heard actually sounds really good. Now of course, I'm not going to totally jump the gun here until I see gameplay, but so far from the information available, this already sounds to me like it could be the best stealth system since at the very least Syndicate. It already sounds so much better than the last 3 games, but I know, I'm gonna keep my excitement in check for now. You never know with Ubisoft. But really, since we already know so much about the big factors of stealth in this game, I'm just gonna go over some of the smaller stuff that I'd like to see in Mirage. So we know so far for tools that will have throwing knives, blow darts, smoke bombs, noisemakers, and mines. So I'm hoping they bring back the system from Unity where you can have 2 tools equipped at once for faster and more efficient use. So for example, being able to have a ranged projectile like throwing knives equipped while also having smoke bombs equipped in your belt at the same time. It's a little thing, but it really made everything quicker in Unity rather than only having one weapon or tool equipped at a time. I'm also very curious how we're going to replenish consumables. Are we going to be able to loot bodies like in the old games to get some of our items restored, as well as a store to purchase and refill them at? And if there's a store, hopefully we're provided with ample currency through just completing missions, so it's not overly difficult to restock consumables and therefore allows us to use them with more ease. I think something very important related to stealth that shouldn't be overlooked as well are the controls. I really hope, since they're going back to the roots of the series on everything else involving stealth, that this also applies to the controls. The RPG games stripped almost any form of complexity or advanced movement the older games allowed for and just streamlined and simplified the entire system for a broader player base that's used to RPG games. Now Valhalla did bring back the manual sprint button, but I'm hoping Mirage has something more similar to, again, like Unity and Syndicate, and have default movement be walking, and then of course you press the sprint button to sprint and move around quickly. And for the love of God, please bring back the manual jump button. It's been missing for 8 years now. Unity was the last game to have a jump button. That's just insane to me. Movement and parkour are integral to stealth, and chances are if the movement and control you have over BASM feels off, it'll deeply affect the stealth in a negative way, so fingers crossed there as well. That about sums it up though for what I'd like to see in Mirage's stealth system. Again, we know a lot about most of the major stuff regarding stealth, but some of the smaller things like movement and accessibility can be really crucial as well. But all in all, everything we've heard so far sounds extremely promising regarding stealth, and I'm very interested to see what it actually looks like. The way it's being described really does sound like they're doing a lot to make this feel like an authentic and old school Assassin's Creed game with some modern touch-ups, and please God, let this be good. If this game flops, Ubisoft will have evidence to just be like, well, we gave you old Assassin's Creed and look what happened. And then they'll just go all in on their RPG games. I mean, that could very much happen regardless of how Mirage does anyway, since we already know AC Red is going to be an RPG game, and there's currently no AC title that we know of, at least in the distant future, that's supposed to be a traditionally styled game as well, so Mirage may very well be a one-time return and that's it, or at least for a long time. So that puts even more pressure on this game to be good, and if it does turn out to be really good, then it's on us to let Ubisoft know this is the kind of AC game we want. I think it's safe for me to say this is the most optimistic I've been about an AC game since, well, since I can remember, really. And while I keep telling myself to keep my expectations in check, it's hard for me as a longtime fan of the series to not at least get a little excited when reading about this game, but I've rambled for long enough. Let me know what you guys think of how AC Mirage's stealth system is sounding so far, and your current excitement level for the game. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Special thanks to my members for supporting me. If you wish to join, the link for my channel membership will be in the description. But other than that, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day, Assassins.